Hi, my name is Anthony Nicosio, one of the trainers here at the Flint Group. Today we're going to be talking about water filtration and why water filtration matters. In 2022, it was estimated that the water filtration market was a $12.2 billion industry. And looking at the numbers across all of our companies at Flint, we are probably capturing not even a big enough number to represent anything that would be meaningful. So we're going to be going through the features and the benefits and the whys and the hows to offer water filtration. And hopefully after this presentation, you're a little more comfortable offering water filtration. Looking forward, by the year 2030, the water filtration industry will reach somewhere near $27 billion. So this isn't something that's going away. In fact, many health organizations and doctors and researchers have said that homeowners should incorporate water filtration in their homes as well as um, air purification. So I'm going to have all of you guys take just about 5 to 7 minutes. We're going to pause the video here and we'll come back on. And what I want you guys to do in your groups, I want you to break out, and you can do this as the entire plumbing department or managers that are in the room. If you guys want to break into smaller groups, maybe 3 to 5, and make this a little bit of a competition. The best thing here to do is grab some post-it paper, put it on the wall, some easel paper, and I want you to take 5 to 7 minutes and list as many possible health and safety risks of using unfiltered municipal water in your home. So take about 5 to 7 minutes, list as many health and safety risks as you can by using unfiltered municipal water in your home, or in some of our markets, that might even mean well water. All right, so I hope you guys came up with a good list. Of course, we're going to go over some of the things. I think many of you are familiar with water filtration and the need for it. And it's not just about health and safety risks, and we'll go through some of those things as well. And we'll, just to hit again on that consumer adoption and looking at that number, $30 billion, by 2030. It's a big number. But currently, we also, I think, underestimate how many customers currently have water filtration in their house. So, approximately 45% of US households have some sort of water filtration system, and that's not counting the filters in refrigerators. So, some sort of water filtration is being used, and that doesn't count Brita either. 45%, that's a big number. And as we know, as plumbers or even the other trades, oftentimes these systems are not working, and the customers sometimes don't even know what they are. Um, Now, if you look at the total percentage of Americans that are using some type of water filtration, that number reaches over 9 out of 10. So 91% of Americans are using some form of water filter, including pitchers like the Brita filters, point of use. So these are going to be like RO systems underneath um, the kitchen sink, also refrigerators, and then also whole home systems. This indicates a really strong market and an opportunity for us to grow and also additional consumer awareness. When we're selling water filtration, we number one, we have to believe in the product. And, I think oftentimes as professionals in the home, we we come up with something in our mind that tells us the negatives about a product and maybe a reason why we shouldn't offer it, or maybe a reason why a customer doesn't want it. But if you followed me and followed Steve and followed the entire Spark process, we know that our job really has three functions. Number one, we need to build that relationship, and through that relationship, it allows us to ask customers questions. And when we're asking these questions, what we're doing is we're being inquisitive to find out what are the things that matter to our homeowners, because this might not matter to some people, but I have a feeling that a lot of people will have an interest in this. If you look at things like the rising cancer rate in this country, we're filming this in October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I encourage all of you, if you want to go and follow some blogs or just Google, um, there's thousands, millions of pieces of information where researchers and doctors are talking about um, the increased rate of cancer diagnosis. And these things are often led to the chemicals in our environment. In fact, we can probably pinpoint that most of it is due to the chemicals in our environment, including microplastics from drinking out of bottled waters. So, number one, we have to believe in that product, and we have to stay educated. So, we're not going to go through today the entire, you know, uh, water filtration process in terms of all of the information. These are things that I recommend as professionals. There's so much information online, including YouTube, and service managers out there. Let's get the reps inside of our buildings. The NOVO reps or whoever's repping your water filtration product, whatever you're using, they're happy to come in and not only talk about the product, but also talk about how to um, in a way that is professional test the water, including what happens when you get to a well system. What does that look like? How do we test that water? And what are the products going to do? Right? We don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, and we don't want to make claims that we can't keep. So what I want to what I'm going to have you guys do another exercise. So in a moment, I want you guys to break out, and you can break out in the same groups, or you guys can do this as a whole. But let's get everybody participating. So let's take another 5 to 7 minutes, and I want you guys to list all of the benefits of a whole home water filtration system for a homeowner. Okay, so we talk about water filtration. We're also talking about water treatment. So we can also talk about water softeners and even RO systems. So go ahead and take that time and list out as many benefits as you can to a homeowner for having a whole home type water filtration system. All right. Well, hopefully that exercise was worthwhile, and maybe some of you hopefully learned some things that you didn't know before about some of the benefits. And of course, we know customers buy benefits, not features. And there is, some perception there. So some of these features might be some things that are considered benefits to people. And again, we don't know these things until we ask questions. Um, so to get back to the health benefits and the safety. So the health impacts of water filtration. Doctors and public health experts recommend filtration to reduce carcinogen exposure. Carcinogens are linked as a cancer causing agent. And carcinogens tend to be one of the um, highest risks found in municipal water. So long-term exposure to contaminants are linked again to that cancer risk, and we don't want to scare people. And we'll get to how to bring all these products up. We certainly don't want to make claims like drinking municipal water is going to cause cancer, because that just simply isn't true. But we definitely want to talk about things like, hey, having water filtration allows you to drink cleaner, healthier, fresher water. Um, so these are the common carcinogens that are found in the environment and in water. So arsenic, chromium 6, disinfection byproducts, DBPs, which is found in municipal water, in chlorine, nitrates, and then of course lead. And we'll talk about more about lead, and give you guys some information and some things to look for when you're in these houses. Um, and it does not hurt to have supporting evidence. So third party, and especially third party articles. So managers, if the technicians are not able to download things on their iPads because of the restrictions, these are things that I recommend we can also upload into Service Titan. You can actually attach these documents to the price book on your water filtration. Or you can just have these as PDFs. You can also upload them as forms. So the National Cancer Institute and the EPA have linked arsenic and DBPs to increase cancer rates. And the WHO, which is the World Health Organization, recommends filtration monitoring and source protection to reduce risk. And talking about the lead, right? So prior to prior to June 19th, 1986, plumbers commonly used lead-based solder and flux to join copper pipes. And we're talking about a content of lead as high as 50%. After that date, you know, that was reduced to single digit, and we created a more safe environment for homeowners in terms of their plumbing systems with copper pipes, joining copper pipes with solder and flux that did not contain lead. And we know that lead pipes were phased out much earlier. And we know that if somebody has lead pipes, that conversation, and even galvanized water pipe, that conversation before you put water filtration in, should resemble something like, hey, let's get an estimate for a whole home repipe, and then let's protect those pipes um, with water filtration. Um, and so we do know that homes that are manufactured or built before 1986 are going to contain that higher risk of lead exposure through corrosion. So here's the everyday, and I'm sure you guys came up with a lot of this already, but here's some of the everyday benefits for families, right? And you guys hear me say this a lot in trainings. You can add ER to words, and now it becomes more true. And instead of becoming a claim, now we're offering customers a solution that isn't a claim. And the difference between saying it this way and making a claim is making a claim is we're telling a customer that the product is going to accomplish something at a specific rate or a specific instance, and we just can't make that claim. But what we can say is that water filtration installed the proper way, putting the system together properly, will provide cleaner, safer, fresher drinking tap water. um, During the process, the goal is to remove heavy metals, pesticides, chlorine, microplastics, and bacteria. There is a bunch of third party. You can actually go to different websites, and these municipalities do report and publicly display water test results. Now, the most effective way to do this, we'll talk about in a few minutes, is performing this water quality test with a homeowner. We also know that one of the biggest benefits to water filtration systems is improving the taste and the odor by removing chlorine and sulfur compounds. We know that in many of our municipalities, actually sewage wastewater is treated back to drinking water. And while we do have, the we are very fortunate in this country that we do have um, potable, drinkable municipal tap water. That doesn't mean that we've removed all of the harmful components to a level that it's, to the equivalent of drinking filtered water out of plastic water bottles. Um, some of the most at-risk groups are going to be children, pregnant women, elderly, and anybody that's immune compromised in any way. Um, so this is going to be a big segment of the population, but really anybody can benefit from drinking cleaner, so safer, healthier, fresher water. We also know that there's also some wellness and comfort benefits to filtration. You know, you're going to absorb more of these chemicals through a shower or a bath than you do drinking. The epidermis, the skin, is an organ, and the skin does absorb chemicals right through the air, through touch. But standing in a shower or soaking in a bath is going to absorb these chemicals. We know that people that suffer with psoriasis or eczema, which is on the rise, eczema is also linked to celiac and gluten intolerance. And so these individuals that suffer with this also benefit a lot by reducing the dryness caused by chlorine and hard minerals, chemicals. And there's also we know some home and appliance benefits. And this is where, as a plumber, you can get into the show and tell, right? So we know that we can also reduce calcium and magnesium deposits, and we know that we can extend the life of plumbing, and things like coffee makers and dishwashers, and even into the plumbing pipes. And we can also extend the life of things like toilets and water heaters, shower and faucet cartridges, valves. All of these things that we know are very expensive to replace. This is a perfect opportunity to talk about those things when we're in homes dealing with issues that are caused by a lack of maintenance or lack of water filtration. We also know that we can keep our laundry and our dishes cleaner, and it prevents residue, spots, and staining. We know these front load washing machines, while they look really nice and they're fancy, we also know that they break, and they break a lot. They're not like the old top load agitator style. We know that the hardness in the water really affects these systems, and the that gasket around that front door on that front load washer can get very, very disgusting. And this is from what's contained in the water. We also know that we can reduce corrosion, and we can make all of the plumbing system in our homes last longer and without leaks. There's some economic benefits, right? So we know that a lot of people are drinking bottled water, and especially now you see everybody walking around with a Stanley Cup or a Yeti or some form of sustainable drinking device, right? Like a water bottle. And this is because people are shying away from plastic bottles because of that microplastic, and also just to be more environmentally conscious, because we know that plastic um, is going to stick around for thousands and thousands of years before it disintegrates. Um, so we can also talk to the customer about increased property value. So a water filtration system is going to be something that does set your home apart from other homes. And we know that a selling principle, if you've been through Spark, is cells are not made in the similarities, but they're made in the differences. And we will eventually be back to a competitive real estate market where having things like a water filtration system will add more value to your house and set your house from systems that don't. We also know that we can reduce appliance repairs, talking about that wash machine, the dishwasher. And all of this is also, the byproduct of this, you can save money and have better water quality. We also know, talking again about the environmental benefits, if you see a customer is drinking bottled water, right? That's something to talk about, and again, in questions, it might look like something like, Lauren, how important is it for you to protect the environment? And I think a lot of people, when you ask that question, most people will agree that it's important to protect the environment. And if we can do that by reducing plastic, that's a great, great way to do that. Um, we also can it also encourages, trust in the local water supplies and sustainability. Um, Installing these type of products makes people feel more comfortable about, using municipal water, because again, it's not just about drinking the water; it's also about being exposed to these chemicals through a shower, but even through washing your clothes, right? And it is important for people to find green solutions in their home. It's just a matter of on what level is it important to the customer. Um, we also know that there's lifestyle enhancements, right? I mean, coffee shops have figured this out a long time ago. A coffee bean is a coffee bean, and sure, I mean, there's probably better coffee beans and better roasters out there, but what really makes a good cup of coffee, and I'm not a Starbucks fan, but Starbucks has figured this out. They have a very complex water filtration system in all of their locations, and um, most coffee shops do. So when you're using this type of water through water filtration and probably going through an RO, you are going to have better tasting coffee, and you're going to have better tasting things like pasta or anything that you're boiling in water. And I think that one of the important things with water filtration, and when we get to the questions, you'll see this, is peace of mind is very, very important to people. And it's on the front of mind for people about diagnoses of things like cancer and other ailments caused by environmental factors. So if we can give people peace of mind, that's going to make them feel good. And we also know that there's hidden things in our municipal water that we might not even think about on a daily basis. So where do we start? You know, I think all of you need to start, and as you're reviewing this slide, so Caniture is the parent company of Novo, and they offer water filtration under a few different names. Novo is probably the product that most of you are offering. There's other products out there, and I am not a brand person. I have sold Novo for, I guess, almost 30 years, but I've also sold other water filtration type products, and the proof, right? We need to show proof of what's happening. And so we want to use these water test kits to start the conversation. And then we also want to understand what does that water test kit mean, and then how do we effectively explain it to a homeowner. And I can't go through an entire test today because I'm standing in the Flint office, but this is definitely something that as a group that you guys should practice in a home. So in a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Lauren Malay. She's the learning and development manager here at the Flint Group. She's going to act as a homeowner. I will act as a technician, and we're going to go through some of these questions that's going to help you determine a customer's interest in water filtration, but also you get to find out what's important to the homeowner. And if you've been through Spark, we try to hammer this home, right? We want to offer multiple solutions to people and multiple options, and that's what people want. It's not about forcing somebody to purchase the Cadillac of water filtration systems with a UV light and an RO system. Hey, if that's what they want, great. We'll sell them a $16,000 to $18,000 water filtration system, but that's not for everybody. And so through these questions, you're going to find out what customers really want. And once we get through the questions, I'm going to show you what a four square might look like with multiple water filtration options. And if you guys are familiar with the Legends Club and you see the name Roman Lott on the top of that list, he's also on the top of the list for cross sells. Roman Lott sells a lot of water filtration, and I had him put together a four square of a presentation that he uses all the time.
Okay.
So one of the questions that we want to ask as plumbers standing next to the main water shutoff, and I recommend asking this question on every plumbing call. And the reason is because again, we can relate a lot of the issues and the problems we find in a home with plumbing systems back to lack of maintenance and also lack of filtration. So the question just looks like this. Lauren, would you like me to service your whole home water filtration system today?
I don't think we have one of those.
Really? I'm surprised. Most people in this area do.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we do or not.
Hmm. Well, I'll definitely pay particular attention to that. While I'm here, would you like me to perform a complimentary or a free water filtration or water test with you?
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
Great. I'll be happy to do that. So that's just a way to bring up water filtration on every single call, right? Um, you could have certainly asked that different ways. This is just the way we're asking it today as a script, but ask it as how you're comfortable asking it. But the important thing is to make sure to do this every call and be consistent. On average, if all of us were to ask this question every single call, all of you as plumbers should be selling a water filtration system at least once or twice a week. And you think about, what does this help do? Well, this helps you sell other items in the house because it's usually not about just water filtration. There's going to be things like gate valves that need to be replaced with ball valves. The customer might be missing a PRV, or the PRV might be bad. You can just go down that road, right? Or we might be upgrading somebody from a tanked water heater to a tankless water heater. And we know that water filtration paired with a tankless water heater is going to be the best option for that tankless water heater and the customer. So now there is the case where if the customer does have water filtration, then it might just look like something like this. Lauren, would you like me to service your whole home water filtration system today?
Yeah, that would be great.
Great. Well, I'm happy to do that. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and we'll just do a complimentary water test together and just make sure everything is working proper. Is that okay with you?
Oh yeah, perfect.
Awesome, thank you. So we also know that water filtration systems are neglected and people often don't know how to use them. And so this is also a way to educate homeowners. And if you want to become an expert, In your field, it's all about that education. You want to deliver more value, become an expert. This is how we deliver value, by helping customers with things that they don't understand. And a lot of people don't understand. And you might be able to help the customer set up their water filtration in a way that's going to be also more effective for their house. When we're when we're testing the water quality on maintenance calls, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we perform that test last. So this is going to be the last thing we do. And the reason why we want to do it last is because this is the last thing that we want to bring up with a homeowner, because we can relate everything that we found back in the house to lack of maintenance. And also this gets the customer interested in what you're going to present them in the options. On repair calls, we definitely want to, when we're selling add-on items to a customer in a repair situation. Now, there is going to be situations where you could do this before, um, but if a customer has an active water leak and they're stressed out because there's water pooling somewhere in their house, we certainly don't want to talk about water filtration at that time because they're not going to be interested. So with repair calls, you know, it's going to be different every time, but oftentimes you're going to do the water test after the repair has been made. All right, so now we're at the point of the call where it's show and tell. The best way to conduct a water quality test with a homeowner is to invite the homeowner with them. This is going to build credibility. It's no different than as a sewer camera project manager or salesperson. We can show the customer the video, but that doesn't mean the video is real. We want to invite the homeowner with us when we put the camera down the sewer. This is no different. So what we want to do is we want to choose the kitchen to do the test, because this paints a picture in the customer's mind about relating that water quality back to what they're drinking and they're cooking with. The other reason we want to do this is you don't want to be cramped in a small bathroom with a homeowner. It could be uncomfortable. So what we want to do is we want to take a clean towel, not used. This isn't going to have any dirt on it or grime. Use a clean towel and set this on the customer's kitchen counter. And then you want to set your water quality test kit out, and then you want to put on a fresh pair of latex gloves. Now this is where you can use your questioning techniques and active listening, and just make sure that we're not over explaining or under explaining to a homeowner. And what that might look like is, so Lauren, would you like me to explain to you step by step what I'm doing? Sure. Or no, you don't have to. I just need to know if it's good or bad. Sounds great, Lauren. So what I'm hearing is you just want to know if your water is good or bad. I can certainly help you with that. Now, during the process, you do want to involve the homeowner, just like we do with everything else. The best way to involve the homeowner is to have them say the things that you don't want to say. Like, hey, this is what I'm finding in your water. It's better if the homeowner tells you what they're finding. And we can simply do that by using the droplets and explaining to the homeowner what we're doing if they want us to explain it to them. And then by showing the color change in the vials compared to the charts. And then we can ask the homeowner to tell us what color closely matches what we just tested. And then the homeowner can tell you what that color means and what's found in the water. And then we can just simply ask the homeowner, Lauren, what do you believe we should do with this? Or would you like to do something with this? Or how do you feel about this is probably the most impactful question. And now have the homeowner let you know what's next. One of the plumbing systems that is the easiest to do the show and tell with, but also relate back to the homeowner, and also educate the homeowner on the fact that it's not just about drinking the water. In fact, bathing and showering in the water and putting on clothes from a wash machine. Also, you absorb chemicals that way. In fact, you absorb more chemicals from the water in a shower or a bath than you do drinking the water. So what you want to do is when you drain the hot water heater, you want to grab a 1 gallon white bucket or a clear bucket and drain that first half a gallon into the bucket. And if you're doing this in front of the homeowner, it's probably the most effective, because then you can just simply look, or either way, if you're going to show it to them, simply show the homeowner and say, Lauren, are you familiar with what we're looking at right now? Well, it looks like that's the water that just came out of the hot water heater. Okay, well, do you know what it is? No, I don't. I don't either, but this is what you're bathing in. And we'll be able to do that water quality test later and look at what's happening here and why your tank is rusting the way it is, or why we have all of this calcium or magnesium buildup. The next thing we can do is pull that anno rod. That anno rod is I know sometimes a pain in the ass to pull out, but hey, you know, that's why you guys get that's why you should buy good tools and grab that 24 volt and or have a breaker bar with a wrench. Pull that anno rod out, and if it's severely corroded, we know that that's happening because of poor water quality. And then we explain to the homeowner what an anno rod does. And now you're starting to paint a picture for that homeowner, right? As well as pulling out that burner assembly out of the water heater and using your inspection camera to show the rust. The other thing that we can do, especially in areas that you know are susceptible to hard water buildup, magnesium buildup, calcium buildup, pull those cartridges out of some of the fixtures and show the homeowner and explain to them what that cartridge does. And we can also explain the cost to replace cartridges and also the risk for leak and how we can prevent that in the future. And painting that picture that this is just one cartridge out of many, right? And then also asking customers questions like, Lauren, how frustrated are you with constantly having to clean your bath and shower enclosures, especially the glass ones? Yeah, it's super frustrating. Are you finding that you're having to use harmful chemicals to do that? Yes. Lauren, would you like some solutions to prevent this from happening in the future by using water treatment? You know, and that's important to people too. Because over time we know that eventually, you know, we start to get that purple buildup, the discoloration, and eventually using those harmful chemicals breaks down things like the trim, or simply rusts it out. So there is different things we can do. There's also add-on products we can do, right? We can add a outside spigot for somebody that likes to wash their cars outside, and we can put a water softener. So the same kind of technology we're finding in commercial car washes, we can give that customer that technology so they get that spot-free rinse. Also, people with hot tubs. If you're able to fill up a hot tub with that treated water, you're skipping those steps where you're not having to add those chemicals to get that balance. So now we've tested the water, we've got the customer involved, and they're asking you or telling you that they would like to hear some solutions. We know now, this is probably going to be on a maintenance call or repair call. There's probably some other things going on, and if you've been through the Spark program, we know that we want to sit at the kitchen table to build our estimates. We don't want to do this at the truck. We want to build that credibility and not break that chain of the relationship with the homeowner. We want to sit at the kitchen table, and we want to do this in a professional manner. The first thing you're going to do is pull up your iPad, and I'm sorry, this is going to be after the questions. You're going to pull up the iPad, and you're going to use the iPad to find the pricing and the options to build onto a paper Foursquare, which will show you in a moment. The first thing we want to do though is we want to have this conversation with a homeowner and have them help you design the best water filtration system for their house, right? And so in a moment, I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like with Lauren again, and Lauren will be the homeowner and I'll be the technician. So Lauren, if you have a few minutes, if you don't mind sitting at the kitchen table with me, I'd like just to ask you some questions, and then that way you can help me design the best water filtration system for your house. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Great. So that's going to be the first question, and the reason why we're doing this is she's going to help me design the best water filtration for the system for the house. Oftentimes the customer is going to give you the answers that design probably the premium or ultimate water filtration system, including RO and UV lights. And that's fine, because then what we have an option to do is to walk backwards, but the customer might not be interested in any of that. Maybe they just want a softener, or maybe they just want a filter, or maybe they just want point of use, and it's fine. The three rules, right? Relationship building, solutions-based selling, and then the third rule is we do whatever is in the best interest of the customer, and that's what they're telling us they want to do. So Lauren, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most important, how important is it for you to have filtered water in your home?
After what you told me, I feel like it's a 5.
So Lauren, what I'm hearing is 5, it is very important to have that filtered water. So what I'm hearing is we're designing the system you definitely want something, like the sediment or carbon filter that is going to provide that filtered water for you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And Lauren, were you aware, we kind of talked about it, but were you aware that you're actually absorbing those chemicals that we found in your water more through bathing than you are even drinking?
No, that was a shock to me.
How concerned are you with preventing that from happening in the future?
Very concerned. My kids spend a really long time in the bath.
Okay, yeah, and Lauren, that totally makes sense. So what I'm hearing is it is a concern because the amount of baths and showers and things that are happening in the house with your children and you.
Yes.
Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 5, Lauren, 5 being the most, how concerned are you with the quality, the total quality of water in your home?
I would say that's pretty important. Probably for 4 or 5 for sure.
Okay, so I'm hearing that's also very important just
Yeah.
to get that entire water system in your house purified with filtered water.
Yeah.
Okay. And how important is it for you, Lauren, to prevent those stains that are happening in the shower and the bath surrounds and on that glass?
I would like that feature. I don't know if it's most important.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, Lauren, is that's a nice to have,
Yeah.
but it does not have the same importance as getting that water cleaner and fresher and healthier.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. That
Yeah.
helps me. Okay, now when I'm designing that system, if the system, does that mean you want to see that option with and then without?
Yeah, let's see it with. I want to know what it would look like.
Great. Yeah, I'll provide you both those options. That way you can decide if it's worth it to you.
Perfect.
And on a scale of 1 to 5, Lauren, how important is it to you to protect your home's plumbing system?
That seems important. I feel like that's an expensive fix later.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree with you. It is going to be an expensive fix later to fix these things that do fail prematurely because of lack of water filtration. So what I'm hearing is that's something that's important and you want to see that option.
Yes.
Great. And when you're making a decision like this, Lauren, how important are warranties and guarantees?
I guess it depends on how much it costs at the end, but it's probably something I want to have a conversation about.
Okay, great. So what I'm hearing is it's more of an investment question. So you want to see both and determining on the cost that warranty might be important or not important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So I'll just go ahead and show you both those options.
Perfect.
And this is the question that we ask before presenting any estimate. So Lauren, I will provide those options and estimates on the water filtration and treatment systems. And if one of those options does fit all of your needs and your wants and it fits into your budget, would there be any other reason that I wouldn't be able to ask for your business today?
No, you've done such a thorough job.
Well, I really appreciate that. Lauren, it's going to take me maybe about 10 or 15 minutes just to put all these different options and estimates together. More welcome to sit at the table with me, or if you have other things to do, I can just let you know when I'm finished.
Yeah, I'll just go. I'm gonna go switch the laundry upstairs. Just grab anything you need.
Great, thank you, Lauren.
Perfect.
All right, so that's how that goes. Very easy, right? And this is why we do what we do, right? We can certainly go in and replace toilets all day and replace garbage disposals and valves and do all of these things. But you know what's more fun is providing solutions to people for real world problems. And these things are not grudge purchases, right? So water filtration is not a grudge purchase. This is something that they can get an emotional connection to. And a grudge purchase is something that they would rather spend money on something else. And this is definitely not the case. So when we're building the right options for the homeowner, again, it's going to be based on the answers to their questions. But more than likely, you're going to end up building something like a good, better, best, right? And good is going to be something like an entry-level filtration for basic needs. You could even have a budget option, which is more point of use underneath the kitchen sink, or just some cartridge filters. And then better is going to be that comprehensive household protection, where it's probably a softener and some filters. And then we also have the best, right? Which is going to be something that's going to be our premium option, our total solution. This is going to represent probably an RO system, some UV lights, softener, filters. This is going to be the bad boy, right? So if the customer is unsure and we go through the estimates, it's always better to start at the best, right? And determine, based on what the answers they gave you, and let them determine what's better for their budget. So these are some options that Roman Lott put together. So Roman Lott is the #1 plumber according to the Legends Club, and according to his numbers in Flint. Roman's been doing residential for about 6 or 7 years. He's a high performer, master plumber. He sells water filtration on a lot of jobs. He's also a boiler tech, sells a lot of boilers out in Denver, and water filtration is important. And he sells a lot of tankless water heaters paired with water filtration. So these are examples of the 4 squares that he uses, and so some different options there. And I recommend in your teams, right? This 45-minute, hour-long video is just a start, right? This is something that you guys should build off of, and you need to practice. So skills practice those questions. I would skills practice putting these estimates together, actually doing a presentation, and when we present 4 square, we know that we just do the assumptive close. Now it looks like, Laura, based on what you told me, these are the options I came up with. This first option, the total solution, or the best option. Based on what you told me, this is the filtration system that you designed, okay? And then there is a reference here on whole home filtration and how it works. Certainly you can use this, but I do recommend plumbers, we know how you build confidence, right? You build confidence by knowledge. You need to stay up to date on these things. You need to have facts. You need to know how this stuff works. You need to know probably how to install it. Unless you have install teams, you probably should know how to do that. And I recommend if you own a house, you should have these products in your house. I have a whole home water filtration system and software from NOVO in my house. Yeah, I didn't pay for it, but I can tell you it works really, really well. I don't have it build up, and I can fill up my hot tub, and it is pretty nice. And my outdoor spigot that has a water softener attached to it, I can wash my wife's car, and it doesn't leave spots. So, hey, if you guys have questions, concerns, or anything you heard on this video that you want to know more information about, certainly reach out to us, and I'm happy to have that conversation. Have a great day.